Today we're talking all about Universal Orlando versus Disney World as locals.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Dan and Leslie here. If you are new to the channel, welcome. We moved our family of four. When was that? Time is taking on a new meaning here.
December. End of December.
The day after Christmas, we moved our family of four down to Orlando, actually Windermere, to be right next to the Magic Kingdom, as close as we could possibly get because we are a little obsessed. Yes. So if you are thinking about moving to Orlando to be next to theme parks like we are, and we know there are quite a few of you out there, thanks for reaching out. Please enjoy this. This is going to be a little bit of a dive into what it's like doing and a little bit of a comparison contrast between Disney World and Universal Orlando as locals.
Before we dive into all of that fun, if you are looking to come to these destinations on vacation or whenever you're house hunting, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can reach Dan and I at danandleslie@adickofthemouse.com, or you can go over to fantasticalvacations.com to learn more.
That's right. We did come down from the center of the country. We both drove and we flew down to Disney World and Universal multiple times for a decade. We're DVC members. Again, we're obsessed. We actually have a Disney-focused podcast called Addicted to the Mouse that publishes twice weekly on Sundays and Wednesdays. If you want to, please check that out. But we know what it takes to travel down and spend 5 days, 7 days, 10 days. We spent as long as 2 weeks here a couple of times, and we know what that's like. Today, though, is completely different. We are talking about, as locals, what we want out of these theme parks and how we are touring them and the pros and cons of each.
It's very different whenever you are a local versus whenever you are a visitor.
It is, so let's talk about that. This is all based off of our point of view and our wants and desires. So number one is the ability to be spontaneous and to pop into theme parks whenever you want to. So you don't necessarily know if, 60 days out, if you're gonna want to visit a theme park on that day.
Yeah, absolutely. So Park Pass reservations over at Disney World can sometimes hinder that, especially in busy times like right now we're dealing with spring break or around, the holidays. We also are coming into Easter weekend, but all of that causes an increase in crowds and a decrease in Park Pass availability. So we definitely can't be spontaneous this week with Disney World.
Flexibility is another big key of what we want as locals. We want the ability to bounce around. And, if we decide we want to go to a theme park or a shopping district or a dining district, we want to be able to do a little bit of this and a little bit of that and not necessarily spend open to close in a park in a given day, because we're not planning on doing this like once every year. We were planning to do this maybe pretty often. The next thing is that we want access to everything. We're not demanding at all.
Yes, we do. We want access to it all.
The next thing we want as locals are relaxed touring plans. So we don't necessarily want to plan out every minute of every day. We want to be able to pop into a park or a shopping district and leisurely stroll, sit back, maybe enjoy a snack or a beverage, maybe people watch, maybe just take in the ambiance. It's one of our favorite things to do. In fact, we are about to be late for lunch reservations at Disney Springs right now. So, we do this multiple times per week. It's one of our favorite things to do, but we need to be able to be and feel relaxed in a theme park.
Another thing as locals, we want short stays at locations. So by that I mean like little staycations where maybe we stay a night or two at a resort, and instead of the focus being on the theme parks, it is now shifted to where the focus is on what the resort has to offer, because these resorts are amazing and they have a lot of amenities to take advantage of.
Absolutely. And even if you're going for a day trip, we want to be able to pop in and pop out. So we don't necessarily, again, want to stay from park open to park closed. We may want to stay 2 to 4 hours, get our fill, and then leave. And the last thing that we are really looking for as locals are discounts. And I get it, these places are popular, they demand a premium, but at the same time, if we live here, we can't afford to pay that premium every single time we go because we're going throughout the year. And so we do look for those discounts, so those Florida resident discounts, when choosing when and where to go.
Okay, so let's dive into some differences. So first, let's talk about tickets. And as a local, you're probably gonna go for an annual pass, right? Because you want to be able to tour the parks often, and it's too high of a premium if you're only gonna pop into a park once a week to pay a day ticket for every single time you go.
Both theme park resorts have 4 levels of annual pass when fully available. Right now, Universal Orlando has all 4 passes available with Florida resident discounts. So you can choose between 2 park annual passes or 3 park annual passes if you want to go to Volcano Bay Water Park. It really makes a lot of sense for at least one person in your party with Universal Orlando to get that highest tier called the Premier Pass.
Disney right now currently has, well, they have 4 levels, but they only have 1 for sale right now. So currently only the Pixie Dust Pass is available to purchase, and that is only for Florida residents, and specifically has a lot of blockout dates, but it primarily restricts you to the weekdays and no holidays.
One important thing to remember with either one of these resorts is parking, and this is huge, huge, huge for locals because we are more often than not going to be driving ourselves to and from the theme parks and the dining experiences.
Yeah, because parking's expensive whenever you go to the theme park, and you know, whenever you're just here and you're only gonna hit the theme parks 4 to 7 days, it's doable, but whenever you're going a lot and every week, you definitely don't want to pay that 25 to 27 on up price.
Yeah, one thing to note is with all 4 levels of Disney annual passes, parking is included. With Universal, it's only the top 2 that parking is included, and the bottom 2, like the bottom one, parking is not included at all, and that next tier up, I think it's a 50% discount for parking. Yeah. But with the Premier Pass over at Universal, you get either preferred parking or valet parking, which is a game changer. And so one thing when we go back to talking about flexibility and spontaneity and popping in for just a couple of hours, parking is huge. I mean, the logistics of getting to the parks and getting home from the parks is huge. And it makes all the difference if you want to do this like after school or after work or real quick on a weekend. This makes a huge, huge difference. And so it's a lot easier to park at Disney parks if you have that Park Pass reservation, except for Magic Kingdom, because you can just park and walk right into the park. Whereas Universal is a lot more challenging because you have to park at a parking garage that services everything and then walk and find your way. Unless
you have valet. So, I mean, if you are parking in the regular parking area, you're adding, a solid probably 15 to 20 minutes on to entering the park because of parking in that parking garage, getting through security there, and getting through all the walkways to get over to the actual City Walk area. With valet, you literally have nobody in line in front of you, usually with the security. Yeah. You pop right through, you go up an escalator, and you're there.
Disney Springs is way easier to park than like to get to City Walk. They've got their own parking, they got surface parking, they got tons of parking garages. It's immensely easier, and it's free. You don't have to pay to park there, whereas you do have to pay to park to get to City Walk if you're going to City Walk at Universal because it's the same parking garage that services everything. I guess the flip side of that is going back to flexibility. It is way easier to get back and forth between everything at Universal than it is at Disney, because once you park one place at Disney, now you have to figure out logistically how you're going to either drive or take Disney transportation to get to the next place you want to go.
So and then how will you get back to your car? Yeah. Now, I will say that both theme parks, Universal and Disney, do their discounts of food and merchandise very well for annual pass holders. They do all offer some type of discount on merchandise and food, except for the 2 lower tiers of Universal's passes. One of the downfalls to Disney World with the flexibility of your touring is having to have that Park Pass reservation, because in busy times it gets really tough to get them, and so you can't just necessarily look at each other one morning whenever you wake up and go, I feel like going to Animal Kingdom today.
Universal doesn't have Park Pass reservations, so it's very flexible. You can go anytime you want unless somehow they hit capacity, which they never have since we've been here. The other thing is you park hopping, right? So Universal, they don't have Park Pass reservations, and you can hop back and forth immediately. So if you go in Islands of Adventure for one thing and then you want to go over to Studios, you absolutely can. Just walk right on over.
That makes it really nice, whereas over at Disney, you can't park hop until 2 p.m. So it really, you have to very strategically plan your day.
So going back to flexibility and spontaneity, really Universal gets the check mark here because it's wide open. You can do anything you want as a resident. You cannot do that at Disney, and if you are, you have to plan in the logistics of driving and getting to the other park. You have to plan it around 2 p.m. so you can go to multiple things. It just becomes a little bit more cumbersome.
As far as rides go, either place, Universal has their Express Pass, Disney has their Genie Plus. Either way, you're gonna be paying for that service to be able to skip the lines. The one caveat to that is that you can purchase that higher tier of Universal's annual pass, and of course, you're essentially paying for it, right? But you are paying a little bit more to get Express Pass after 4 p.m. in that case.
This is a really cool thing because oftentimes we will go like after school or later in the day on weekends when it starts cooling off. Yeah, it's gotten a little bit warm here in April with the kids, and we'll just plan that around 4 p.m. And even if we want to say 2 to 4 hours, we can have Express Pass so we can jump on a few rides. One thing I do like about Disney though, and they've gotten a lot of flack for charging for these individual attraction selections for the most popular rides, but that's kind of nice if you are a local and you don't want to wait in line and you're willing to pay for it. Like you don't have to buy their version of Express Pass called Genie Plus to get in all these lightning lanes. You can just buy it for one ride. Back to flexibility and spontaneity, which is our two biggest things. Disney gets the check mark for me on this one for the shopping districts specifically. We do like to hang out and maybe go to a lounge or a restaurant and just enjoy the shopping district. We just like the vibe in City Walk and Disney Springs. Way easier to go to Disney Springs. Number one, it's free to park, which is a huge perk. In fact, we're about to go. In fact, we got to leave pretty soon. And then the other thing is that it's bigger. So Disney Springs, so there's just more to do there. There's more dining options, more snack options, and more drink options.
And quite honestly, I like the vibe better there. Overall dining, I'm gonna say that Disney just gets the check mark in this category. Their food, for us at least, is just better. Making table service reservations it can be stressful if it's a highly in-demand place and we may not always get what we want, but the table service reservations that we have over at Disney, they're fun and they are delicious and we're usually never disappointed.
That being said, there are ways around those dining reservations. So a lot of people, they know that they have up to 24 hours in advance to cancel their dining reservation and not be charged for it at Disney. So if you check the day before, things will start to open up and it may be what you want. If not, a lot of these nicer restaurants have lounges and you can just go to the lounge and enjoy, whatever at the lounge and still get the experience, the ambiance and everything. And then there's still plenty of quick service options. So if you just can't find a table service option, you can do quick service and they're fantastic as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So both Disney and Universal offer previews of new things. And that's something that's really cool as a local because, whenever there's a preview for something new and you are an annual pass holder, but you live across the country, do you have a trip planned? Can you swing a trip that quickly? There's some definite logistics that have to go into that. Whereas if you're a local, you look at it and you're like, yeah, I could do that day.
We got Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. It took a couple of times to move down here with 2 different U-Hauls. So we were down here once and just happened to line up with AP previews for that. So we were able to do that. We got AP previews for Guardians of the Galaxy next month, which is really cool in Epcot. It's about to open Memorial Day weekend and we have previews before it opens. And we would have gotten AP previews for Velocicoaster had we lived here then because Universal did that as well. So you remember when we said that we wanted access to everything? This is access to everything before anyone else gets to do it. And then the last thing that we love doing as locals is being able to take part of all the special events that both of these resorts offer. So everything from Mardi Gras to Halloween Horror Nights to all of the Epcot festivals. Some of them are included like Mardi Gras and all the Epcot festivals. Some of them are hard ticket events like Halloween Horror Nights and like Boo Bash, Mickey's Very Merry Not So Scary, all that stuff. But we are here and we can take advantage basically anytime we want to and we don't have to plan a full week-long trip to do that. And so that's really cool.
Still working on this guy to go to H2O Glow Nights at Typhoon Lagoon this summer.
We got plenty of time.
So there you have it. That's what it's like going to Disney and Universal as locals and the things that we look for and look forward to doing and what we value in both of those parks.
If you like these videos, we would appreciate a like and subscribe. It helps us reach new people. And thanks so much for joining us today. We will see you on the next video.